Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Undaunted Reinforcements. Specifically, the solo variant is what I'm going to primarily be focusing on. But for those of you who have watched the channel for some significant amount of time and have seen like our top 100s, or I've actually done a review and playthrough of Undaunted, I think it's still up on the channel, you'll know that I'm not a fan of this game, really in any sense. But my theory was that, because it's a 1v1, I think you can play in teams with the reinforcement stuff, but it's a 1v1 skirmish game, that might be my reasoning, because it relies on dice. So maybe playing solo, this wouldn't be that bad. And while I do think that is the case, I still cannot stand this game. And it blows my mind that people kind of praise this, because on paper, even in the solo variant, how if you succeed or fail still revolves around dice. And I hate that. And I'm not saying hate as like a hyperbole. I hate that in these kinds of skirmish games. Because as you saw, if you watched the run through, there might be some strategy things that could have been better. I mean, looking back, that's the silver lining of it's like, I know I put my scout ahead. I knew they had a sniper that could potentially hit. But it's pretty much right at max, so for what they're trying to aim for, so maybe they won't hit. Maybe I could have scouted a little bit to get my tank out in the open a little bit more. But the entire playthrough, they did not miss. What do you do around that? Hell, I've played games of Undaunted, even the Undaunted Callisto, where I swear, and Brad, this is his copy, I didn't go out and buy this for this run through. He's a guy I do top 10s with, and he's in other videos. He can attest to this, that in Callisto, I moved out like once, and then I did not move, and I just rolled. Because, look, a 10. A 10. Oh, I need a 9. Look at that, a 9. That is the most lazy way of designing a skirmish game that I can think of. And so, even in the solo variant, it's like, okay, I pretty much just felt like I wasted 40 minutes, because what do you do around that? Even it's like, okay, I'll move my gunner, and that's all I can do because their sniper is shooting at me, or their scout is shooting. He needs to get a 9 to be able to hit my gunner, and look at that, he did. It was non-stop, just anti-tank, rolling, and getting every result that they need. Their sniper getting every result that they need. Their engineer getting every result that they need. So it's like, well, I'm clearly not winning, so what's the point? And then on top of that, it still revolves around the randomness of your deck. It's like, boy, I have one shot to be able to stop them from at least blowing up that base or that area. Now, maybe I'll draw my rifleman, and look at that, I didn't. It's in the deck, but didn't get it. Yes, I did get my rifleman. I'm going to play him to attack. Oh, he attacks with a 1. I need a 5, and there's a 2. Okay. Well, that was a wasted turn, and look at that. The engineer gets to roll 3 dice. He needs a 6 or higher. So, odds are not necessarily in his favor, and look, it's a 10 and a 9 and a 6. So, he blows it up. It's so frustrating. But I will say, if you like Undaunted, if the dice and the deck do not bother you, then this is an excellent solo variant. The reason why I was bitching at the beginning was mainly because I was hoping that, because on paper, this game can be fun. Whenever I was testing out the solo variant to begin with, I was playing like the Dunkirk, soundtrack, and I was like, this is amazing. No, it was actually the 1917 soundtrack. And I'm like, this is amazing. You could really get into the theme. The vehicles are cool. And, I know positioning can kind of matter. Not really, because you could always just roll a 10. Which I know is a 1 in 10 chance, but it's the fact that it can happen. And it's like, I didn't really do anything. I just rolled. Where's my incentive? I'll just roll and hope I hit. Oh, look, I did. But I was really hoping that this solo variant would be like, okay, all right, this is really good. Uh, so the way that it actually works is so clean. I really, really like how, because I mean, it is kind of annoying that you have to go out and buy either the North Africa or the Normandy box, and then you have to buy the reinforcement box, which, if you really like Undaunted, you'll probably get both anyway, and then this reinforcement box just stores everything in there, which would assume that they're done making content, which is kind of a shame because I feel like there's a lot more areas and scenarios they could make for it. But you just pick one of those boxes, pick a scenario and which side you want to play as, and then the way you set up for the bot is again very clean. They just have it where it's all numbers on what scenario are you on for. Okay, find every card that they have in their deck, and then at the top for their solo bot cards, you just find where it says 4, and then those are the ones you're running. So even though you might have a warrant officer that's good for scenario 1, are those literally the same thing? They are, so I don't know why it's different. It's stupid. But hey, this one's for 2 through 4 and 7 and 8, and the other side, which is the exact same actions, is for 1, scenario 1. But either way, you just find those, and they're really clean. You're like, oh, who's going? Oh, the engineer's going. Find his card, and see if the first statement's true. Demolition. Well, he's not on a spot to do that, so we just ignore that. Oh, he's not on an objective, which his objective is to blow up one of the structures. So he's not on it, then he's just going to move to one that's closer, that's scouted. Then you get weird things where it's like if it's not scouted, then, I mean, final thing, he's just going to attack, and attacking is super straightforward. They're going to shoot the one that's easiest to hit, which makes sense. So the only thing you have to kind of deal with is their deck, which is random, but it's really not that bad. It kind of still mimics that if you're like your opponent, you don't know what cards are in their hand, and you can look through their discard pile and see, who is potentially available, like you could with an opponent. I think it works extremely well, and it's not surprising. I mean, it's Osprey Games, and they're the same ones who did the solo variant for the Civilization game that I'm drawing a blank on. What is that game called? Imperium Classics and Legends and Horizons. And that game is best solo. So while I do like this better solo, and I know the counter to my dice rolling is, well, that could have happened for me. And you're right, it could have. But that still doesn't mean it's a balanced, fun game. I've had games of Undaunted where the dice do go my way, and I am bored out of my mind because it's basic resolution, and it doesn't make the game any quicker. I don't think. I mean, that was still a 40-minute scenario where I was just getting my ass handed to me the whole time, and it's like, well, this isn't fun. But then it's like, okay, well, if this was like, again, and I know I'm saying 40 minutes, even if it was like you took 10 or 15 minutes away from that and it was that quick, I'd be a little more forgiving, but it's not that quick. Especially when you're running everything by yourself in the solo variant, where it's not both players are really snappy and knowing exactly what they need to do, and they have their dice. It's like, I'm going to play this, I'm attacking, I need an 8. Okay, I actually got an 8. Okay, so that's going to hit, and you're just really, like clicking, like it's really working. It's not really working whenever it's just you, because you still are like, okay, these are the 4 cards. Okay, I got a 7. I got my 10 commander, but I kind of want to use them. And it's even more, I think it's even more kind of important whenever it comes to initiative, because your opponent is rewarded for winning versus you. You still lose the card. You just want initiative. They will now just do random 4 actions, but if they win, then they get to keep the card, and I mean, it's still 3 actions, so they don't actually lose a action or a card like you do. Now you can play on the easier mode where they do, and then they still draw their 3 cards. And I get why they do that. I'm not really upset about how that works because it's still random. Like they can kind of get a little bit stupid where if their scout is not, if all their people are getting drawn before their scouts doing anything, then their engineers and their anti-tank people and their snipers are not doing much until the scout becomes available to do actions for. But then, like the one of the games I've played, the scout was not being inspired, so all he was doing, he happened to be getting paired up with a fog of war. So he would recon, and that was it. So then all the other people would go again, and they had nowhere to move because he hadn't scouted. He just recons and gets rid of the fog of war. Then eventually they got going, and then once they start going, then they start doing pretty much what they just did in this run through. I don't know. Like I think the preamble of still setting it all up, picking a scenario. I mean, this is not the funnest game to set up with all the tiles and stuff. So doing all that, maybe about 20, 30 minutes of setup, finding the right cards, shuffling, getting their deck, getting their bolster deck set up, and then it revolving around die rolling is whether you succeed or fail. I find all that work to not be worth it. But like I said, if you like Undaunted, and maybe you're a little bit like me, where it's the dice are more frustrating when it's against another person because it's just more competitive that way, then, but you still like the game and the mechanics of the deck building and the low maintenance and low cost of everything, then the solo variant probably will be for you. If the dice are only frustrating because it's a competitive 1v1 experience, well, then it's just against a bot, and if it does what it did, then you're not really going to care. Which is, unfortunately, I've never really liked Undaunted. I've never really understood why people like it, unless you're kind of a history buff. And I swear if someone says, oh, well, in the Maroc airfield, the LDRG, long distance something, were they LDRG? Is that it? LD, it says, yeah, LRDG. Well, the LRDG did win in real life. Great, I'll read a wiki page. I don't want my games to be, like, historically, whenever it's like, well, okay, so it's unbalanced? Well, it would be because it was against, the Italians weren't equipped to. It's like, I've never liked that. I've never liked that in my board gaming. Now, do I think this is unbalanced? No. I get it, why it was paired this way. I have a tank. They have a way to deal with the tank, but it's still a tank. And they have a sniper. That's kind of the balancing tools. Do I think their sniper is probably OP? Maybe. But, again, it came down to die rolls. There was a real chance that the sniper could just be shit, and he rolls 1s and 2s the entire time, so all my people live and I get to do whatever I want. But that wasn't the case, and that's just how it went. Yeah, I am impressed, though, that they were able to kind of make a skirmish game like this and make it work with a bot. I think it's designed by David Turczi. Where is it? Is it him? Well, it's David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin for the reinforcements, but I don't know if the solo... Yeah, solo mode by David Turczi. I mean, of course, it's that dude is a whiz. He's like the Einstein of solo modes. I don't know how he does it, because I would never have begun to figure out how to make this game solo, nor would I ever really try. But he's really, really good. So I think for solo players of Undaunted, this is as good as it can get. And if you have both boxes of North Africa, Reinforcements also has scenarios. Reinforcements, North Africa, and Normandy. You got a lot of game here, especially if you're doing like a campaign where you're going from scenario to scenario. I don't know what that entails, if it's just, hey, play every scenario and log when you played it. It's pretty clean. Again, you could play this and be like, all right, well, the Italians got massacred. Their sniper was the MVP. Now I'm going to try. I want to play as the LRDG and play against the Italians and see how they fare with their tank. And then it's very, very clean and easy to set up. I'm not saying the setup and all that is difficult. It just still takes some work. And I understand why in the Callisto thing they just went to boards instead of these tiles. I think that's a very smart move. So I'm definitely conflicted on this the solo variant on its own. Like, I'd probably give an 8. I think it is really good. It takes maybe the first scenario of playing it to just figure out, oh, this is how they work. Got it. In terms of it fixing or doing anything for my relationship with Undaunted, it did not improve it. In fact, it again emphasized how frustrating it is. But I guess, again, because you're playing solo, it's like, okay, who really cares? You table flip. Yeah. So I'd probably still keep Undaunted at a 5. I don't really see anything special with it. And unfortunately, I don't know how you would even fix the dice. Do something cool. Because what's also kind of weird is the tanks don't give you any defense. That was kind of the whole point, or not the whole point, but that was a benefit of why you keep squadmen around the tank, because one, it's protection if you're being shot at and you can hide behind the tank, but also you protect the tank. It's a very nice relationship to have, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't give you any defense. I think they could have done something special. Like, there are skirmish games that I've played that do have dice that I really, really like. Mainly Mythic Battles, Pantheon / Ragnarok. So it would have been nice if there was like a percentile, and then, because what's also frustrating is, like, let's say you do get shot. Yeah, you could just get shot, especially if it's a sniper and he's really good. He wings my scout, but then you have to rely on drawing into a card that lets you bolster and get them back. I think if they wanted to keep the deck building and keep the dice as is, I think that you look through your hand, you look through your discard pile, or look through, I think it's hand, deck, discard pile, and then supply. The fact that you don't pull them from your supply pile, I think is actually kind of shitty. So if I were to ever play this again, I wonder if that's a house rule that people have done, because you're still limited, but it keeps them around. I don't know if that would extend the game longer, but it's the fact that you still have to bolster them would mean that if it's getting removed from your hand or your deck or your discard pile, it means you still don't have them, but you can try and get them back. You can call for reinforcements. I think that would be better, because then you can never lose your commanders or your squad leaders. But let's say I ran out of scouts, and it's like, well, in this scenario, they're the only ones that can scout, so I'm now locked. That's stupid. So if I still have some in my supply pile, and I have to still be lucky enough to draw them before getting shot again, then yeah, I think that would probably be better, because then it doesn't just lock someone from being able to win and they're resorting to, I guess I'll kill you, because that's not what the objective was. The objective was to control 2 points of locations. So the objective isn't to kill my enemy. So I don't like the fact, again, that you have to be like, well, it's all hope is lost, I guess I'll kill all your people. It's like, well, if that's always an option, why not? Well, I'll just do that. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you've done, if you've done that tier of removing cards of hand, deck, discard pile, and then supply pile before they're actually removed from the board. I'd be very curious to know. In my head of just making that up, that sounds like it would alleviate some of the randomness of the dice, because at least there's a chance that I can draw into a commander and bolster them into my deck and maybe get to use them, get them out into, this field up here or something that gives me 2 defense, and then it's, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then it's like a 10, a guaranteed 10, which the fact that a 10 could still hit you is dumb, but that would make me feel a little bit better. So whenever they're completely wiped from your resources, that's when they're removed. That makes the most sense to me. It would help with the current way it's designed. But anyway, that's all that. Again, 8 for the solo stuff on its own, 5 for still the rest of the game. That's the other one. That's my thoughts on Undaunted Reinforcements. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.